Well, looks like we're getting a Fallout TV show. So, for those of you who don't know, my favorite game series of all time is Fallout. My favorite game in the franchise is, well, Fallout New Vegas. And recently, Amazon announced a brand new TV show for it. And so in this video, I'm just going to be going over what I would want and don't want to see in it.
Now I'm the king of the swingers, oh, the jungle.
So, for the location, I want the location to either be in Southern California. The reason for this is the first game took place in SoCal, near Los Angeles, and the movie was originally planned to take place in SoCal, and unfortunately we never got the movie, but it does look like a good movie. I think it should be here because Fallout's always had roots in California, and it just makes sense for it to be there, you know? Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas were all mostly set in California. Well, New Vegas was mostly Nevada, but there was a good chunk of it set in California. Another location that I want to see is the Midwest, specifically either Michigan or Ohio. You know, Michigan and Ohio is where a lot of car and agriculture stuff goes down, and I think that'd be a pretty important location during a nuclear war. And you know, Cleveland, Detroit, Columbus are some of the most densely, well, not densely populated, but most populated cities in America. And I think it just make a good location. We haven't had a Fallout game there set yet. And there's the Brotherhood of Steel, the Midwest Brotherhood of Steel, that has sentient death clones. I don't want to see Chicago in it if it is set in the Midwest. I think Chicago deserves its own game. You know what I mean? Another location that would be fun, it'd be Canada. Maybe, you know, Ottawa or Vancouver. I think that would make a great location. We don't really know what's up with Canada or Mexico. Mexico would also make a really good location. But from what I know, Mexico City was probably the only city targeted. Well, possibly also Tijuana, but those were probably the only cities targeted in the nuclear war. But it is possible other cities were targeted. But besides Raul, we really don't know anything about Mexico in Fallout. Another location I want to see is Texas. You know, Houston, Dallas, Austin, and El Paso are some of the most populated cities in America. And, I mean, Brotherhood of Steel was set in Texas, but that game was just so shitty. It's worse than Fallout 76. And it's not canon, so I think that would make a really fun game location. But overall, I really don't care too much about the location. Though I do really want it to be in SoCal or the Midwest.
VIP, I've reached the top and had.
Next up is the time period, and this really depends. I don't want it to take place before the nuclear war. You know, that really wouldn't be interesting. I do definitely want episodes, maybe the first 2 or so episodes, to take place before the bombs dropped. But for time, it depends on where it's set. If it's set on the West Coast, I want it to take place before New Vegas. Because then you'd have to explain who won the Battle of Hoover Dam, or the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, or, you know, what happened to Boone and all that. So I do want it to take place before New Vegas if it's set on the West Coast. If it's set in the East Coast, it depends. So, if it's set up in New England, it should take place before Fallout 4, you know? Who did the Brotherhood of Steel win? Did the Minutemen win? Did the, Institute win? So, yeah. If it takes place farther south, you know, in Texas or Florida, it really doesn't matter where it's set take place in, you know, as long as it's 25 years after the Great War. But overall, I want it to be 100 or so years, so, you know, we got the factions in society starting to rebuild. Speaking of factions, let's move on to them.
Stop, and that's what's bothering me.
Ooh, you like that little transition I did there? Anyways, if it's set in the West Coast, I want it to take place before the first Battle of Hoover Dam, you know? So, we already know who won the first Battle of Hoover Dam. It was the NCR. So, I want to see the NCR, the Caesar's Legion, and the Brotherhood of Steel, you know, or it could, take place during the expansion of the NCR or Caesar's Legion. So that way, you know, we kind of get it. We never really get to see the troops grow, you know. We see the NCR as a small little town in Fallout 2, but we never really see them expand as much. By the time we pick up back with them in New Vegas, they've pretty much taken the entirety of California and Baja California. If it's set on the East Coast, I mean, come on, you know, we gotta have the Institute, up in New England, you know? What else is there? The Brotherhood of Steel is obviously wanted. Uh, I personally want to have, you know, the NCR there, but, you know, that could just be my California ass talking.
I wanna be a man cub, and stroll right.
Here's what I don't want the show to do. What I don't want it to do is A, answer too many questions, you know? Who won the second Battle of Hoover Dam? Who launched the bomb first? Was it America, China, Baltic? No, it was none of them. It was Germany for some reason, you know? That doesn't make any sense. My personal theory is that it was either China or Baltic that launched the bombs first, but who knows? Another thing that I don't want it to do is just pander, you know? Like, here's all these references to game mechanics and Fallout games. You guys like Fallout? That's why you're watching the TV show, right? Haha, Mr. House reference. Oh boy, oh gee. You know, I don't wanna do that. Another thing I don't want it to do is pretty much retell a story of Fallout games. You know, I don't want it to retell the story of Fallout 1 or 2, because why would I watch that if I could go watch Oxhorn play probably in a way better version or play the game myself, you know? Uh, Speaking of game mechanics, I think it will be hard for them to implement the game mechanics into the TV show, like Stimpaks, Radaway, Rad-X, and all that kind of jazz. But I think if they handle the show very carefully, and they really should, because Fallout has a very intricate and complex lore, so they can get it right if they handle it carefully. But if they could mess up just one or two things, it could, you know, unravel the entire timeline. But yeah, that's it for this video. Bye, guys.